Okay, so today our objective is very simple. Our objective today, you will distinguish between the two types of subordinating clauses. You will be able to tell me a subordinating clause and then whether it's an adverb or adjective clause. So you're going to be able to distinguish the two. And you'll be able to tell me why one is a subordinate clause that's an adverb clause and why one is considered an adjective clause. What are the key indicators that help us do that? But we need to start off again with our wonderful, beautiful subordinating clauses. Now, subordinating clause, again, it starts with one of two things, either a relative pronoun. Now, there's 5 of those, right? And that is on page 118. If you look at 118, that'll help you. Or a, what am I doing? Not a cog. It's a subordinating conjunction. And if you use our book, that's page 121. These ones you're just going to have to just memorize over time. This one you should memorize right away. There's only 5 of them. But subordinating clauses always start with one of these things. That will help you out a lot. Make sure that you remember that. Again, make sure you remember your objective, because if I ask you, there might be 5 push-ups in it for you. So again, subordinating clauses start with a relative pronoun or a subordinating conjunction. Now, when we talk about it, there's 2 types. Okay, so that's the first thing we got to understand. There are 2 types of subordinating conjunctions. Type 1, the adjective clause. So an adjective clause describes nouns or pronouns, right? So we should know this by now, that anytime you see the word adjective, you automatically think, oh, well, that's going to explain to me, it's going to give me more information about pronouns or plus nouns, right? Nice and easy. The other one we've got to be aware of is our friend down here, the adverb clause. And those ones are going to describe adjectives, adverbs, or verbs. But a lot of people struggle with, like, is it describing this or is it describing that? And it's a really hard thing. But there's actually a nice, wonderful, easy way to distinguish between adjective clauses and adverb clauses. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But first things first, I've got to shrink this guy down. Shrink it down, put you up in the corner. Shrink you down, put you up in the corner. Hopefully you've written those down. If not, they're still up there. Now, so let's go ahead and start with this. Remember how I said that subordinating conjunctions start with these 2 things? Relative pronoun or they start with a subordinating conjunction. These 2 things are my key indicators. Remember, this is page 121, page 118. Let me give you a big hint. If it starts with a relative pronoun, if it starts with our relative pronoun, that makes it so easy, because that means it is a adjective clause. Alright, so if you see that word as a relative pronoun that starts that clause, you know you have an adjective clause. I could just come back and try and figure out which word it's modifying, but I know that it's an adjective clause. Which means that if you have a subordinating conjunction starting your clause, that it can only be one other one, or adverb clause. So that's what's nice about this. Again, if it's starting with a subordinating conjunction from page 121, you know you're dealing with an adverb clause. Most of the time, I'm not going to say this is a definite 100% guaranteed thing, but most of the time it modifies the verb. Most of the time. There are those occasions that it modifies something else. So today it's very easy, right? Does it start with a relative pronoun or does it start with a subordinating conjunction? Okay, so now we've moved everything around, now we've got some different examples here. So notice over here is our list of our beautiful, beautiful, beautiful common subordinating conjunctions. Angle that a little better so that it's sit right here. Let's see if we can turn it. There. These are all our subordinating conjunctions. So again, if it starts with a subordinating conjunction, this is our adverb side of the party. Now over here, we have our relative pronouns. And the relative pronouns are our adjective side of the party. And again, both of them are clauses. So it's really simple. Now, one of the things I want you to notice, we've added two new words, whoever and whomever, to the relative pronouns. These ones aren't used very often, but they can be used at times. So don't just focus on page 118. Notice those are here, you know, who, whom, whose, which, that. Those five are there, but we've added those two that can be used at times. So again, very simple. If it comes from this side, the common coordinated subordinate conjunctions, and there's more than this, but these are your common ones, it's going to be an adverb clause. If it's one of these 7, it's going to be an adjective clause. But they're both, doesn't matter how you label it, both of them will always be subordinating clauses. So that one's a subordinate clause, and that one's a subordinate clause. So there's a lot of ways to say this. So now let's go and see it in practice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so here we go. Here's your sentence. A snorkel is a hollow tube that lets a swimmer breathe. So I need to read my sentence. I need to do my subject and verbs. You can do all your direct objects. You can do all those other things. Right now we're just going to focus on these 3 things. Subject, verb, label, and then underline your clauses. Okay? Remember, it's got to have a subject and a verb. So here we go. A snorkel is a hollow tube that lets a swimmer breathe. All right, so right away I see the word is. So I know that that's a verb. What is snorkel? And a snorkel is a what? Hollow tube. So I know a snorkel is a hollow tube. Now I want to be very careful. Let's, the verb. Now in this case, the relative that is my subject, which is interesting. That lets a breathe. So I've got 2 clauses. So what I want to do is, we've already told you, you always look at the first set of words. A snorkel. That. So those are my 2 words. So hold on. Okay, so let's look at the first clause up here. So we know that this is a clause. We just don't know what kind. And we know that this is a clause because that's subject verb. We just don't know which kind. So again, I want to look at that first set of words. A snorkel. Is it up in this box up here? Do you see it? Snorkel? No, it's my subject, but I got to check. It's not a subordinating conjunction, and it's not a relative pronoun. So this one here is an independent clause. And I could check that by saying a snorkel is a hollow tube. Could that be a sentence all by itself? Yes, it could be. So that definitely is an independent clause. On the other side, again, I want to look at that first word. That. Is it over on my subordinate conjunctions? Oh, it is there. That. Nice. That's interesting. Okay. So it could be that, but oh, it's also a relative pronoun. So then I have to go, now I've got to make a decision here. Is that describing, what is that describing? Is it describing tube or is it describing is? A snorkel is, that lets us swim and breathe? No. A tube, that lets us, yeah, so it's describing tube. So I know it's describing tube. So that means it's going to be a relative pronoun, and a relative pronoun makes this a subordinating clause. And if I want to get crazier, now I would have to say, well, is it this or is it this? Well, this subordinating clause, because I have to take it the next step. So I figure out the clauses and I underline them. Now I have to decide, are they independent or subordinate? And I found that out. And then once I find out they're subordinate, then I got to determine, are they adjectives or adverbs? Well, in this case, we were like going, hey, it could be both, right? Honestly, I don't think that is a subordinate conjunction. Somebody messed up somewhere. So what that needs to do is I need to realize that this is going to be an adjective because it's a relative pronoun. This is an RP. There's your sentence. The team's mascot, which is a horse, is called Renegade. So I have to go through and I have to label anything I consider a subject, anything I can do as considered a verb. I got to really think this through. Is, boom, I know that's a verb. I see two is's, okay. What is called a renegade? Now don't get confused. These commas give me a big hint. The mascot is called Renegade. Is a horse. What is a horse? Which? The commas tell me that I've got two different things going here. So I have this whole thing, the team's mascot is called Renegade. That is one clause, and here's my other clause, which is a horse. So I have two clauses. I have to keep in mind that these two are connected. They are the same clause, because there's my subject and my verb is over here. I can do that. Remember, I can put those things in there for independence. So I look at my first word, right? Team's mascot. Not on this one, and it's not on this one. So I know that this big long one here, that's an independent clause. That whole thing is one big independent clause across. Now this middle part right here, I take a look at the first word, which. And I look up here, nope. Look over here, yes. So this is a relative pronoun, which means this is an adjective clause. And I made sure that this right here, that should not be on there. So make sure that you don't, that way it almost confused us last time. That was not, it should not be on that list. All right, I'm going to give you some sentences here in a minute and see how you do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so what you can do, 1 through 10, you're going to, the underlined clause, first off, determine if it is a clause, it might be a phrase. So I have a subject verb, and then you're just going to look at that first word and say, is it on page 121 or 118? Yes or no. Then it's a subordinate, right? After you figure it's a subordinate, then you need to decide, is it an adjective or an adverb? Good luck. You're going to want to pause this right now. All right. Now that you've finished it, if you did well, you're going to move on to your work and your assignment. And once you finish that, you got to get that done, right? So good luck, and then we'll go from there.